Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Toxic is a word to describe many things, from chemicals to masculinity. You hope you never hear that word when talking about your NBA team. Blindsided is another unsettling word. It describes extreme shock over unforeseen developments. Certainly not how you want your best player feeling inside an NBA locker room, but here we are. Instead of entering the final 32 games with a blockbuster edition, the Suns have been described as toxic. Here's why. Bradley Beal was handed a benching in weeks of trade rumors while holding a contract that never had a chance of being moved. Meanwhile, Kevin Durant tried to bring Jimmy Butler to Phoenix as a wingman, only to be reportedly included in trade proposals to acquire him. And just like last year, there is new grumbling about the head coach. Now, Brian Windhorst said last night there's a new reputation for the Suns across the league. They are considered excellent at talent acquisition and terrible at team building. The desperate turnover over the past 2 years would suggest nothing different, and sorry to say, the potential for zombie basketball will be very high in the coming months. So it might be time for Matt Ishbia to hear the hardest truth and make the hardest decision of all. Hire a new general manager and a new set of eyes to fix this mess and back up out of the way.
You're sitting there going, hang on a second here.
Yeah.
I am doing what you pay me to do. I'm playing basketball. I'm playing at a very good high rate, and now I hear my name being mentioned. So he's a human being. You know, we try to mythologize. He's a guy. So Kirk, you know him. I mean, you played. I'm not a player. I don't know, but I imagine as a human being, you're kind of shaken up.
That's Bob Myers from ESPN, who was the general manager of the Golden State Warriors, the architect of those teams that won those championships that Kevin Durant was a part of.
Yep.
Look, I think it's fair to ask that question because, you know, basketball players, professional athletes, when it's trade season, 99 times out of 100, they're going to say, look, we're all professionals. We know this is part of the business. And did it distract me? No. You just got to focus on the next game. Deep down, there's human nature involved. There's feelings involved. There's ego involved, certainly. It didn't happen. Kevin Durant is a part of the Suns. And I would think that at this point of his career, Kevin Durant would be able to compartmentalize what happened, what didn't happen, and what needs to happen. And what needs to happen is the Suns, they need to play better basketball.
They need to come together, yes. But what are the odds of that happening with everything that's seemingly in the air around them? It's going to take a lot of regrouping and resetting and refocusing for this team to pull that off, and I'm not sure they have it in them. Now, I want to get back to this Kevin Durant thing first, because I did kind of dismiss Jared a couple mornings ago when he came in and said, maybe they're really ticking off KD with this. And I'm like, get out of here, man. I was dead certain that when these rumblings came up about Golden State, and as Gambo has pointed out, it was a trade rumor that took on a life of its own, and there were a lot of people reporting that there was a lot of real fresh meat to it. Now, these are people who report both sides, who talk to people on the Golden State side and all that. I assume that KD was in the loop on this, which is why I was kind of taken aback how this rumor went on from all morning or late night, all morning, and then the word of Kevin Durant saying, I want no part of Golden State didn't happen until early afternoon. So in all that time, we've also had reporting that Kevin Durant was blindsided by this, that Kevin Durant, according to Mark Spears. According to Mark, he said that Kevin Durant called the Suns and said, hey, look, I didn't know you guys were thinking about this. Can I at least, maybe have my say in where I might end up? So I'm with you. I would hope that Kevin Durant, a well-traveled NBA veteran who has left a couple of teams in bad shape, I don't know if that's fair to say, who had a reputation for having some wanderlust, well, however you want to describe it, that he would be accepting of this, that he would go, okay, look, I'm really surprised that me of all people, contributing the way I have, I'm really, really surprised that you would do it, but I get it. I would hope that's the case. And I would hope that the next 32 games begins there with Kevin Durant going, okay, no harm, no foul. I get it. You guys are in, right? Because what's happening now?
Again, he says it all the time. He just wants to play basketball.
He just wants to play basketball. Because what's going to happen now, I believe what's going to happen now, because I read this in a Gerald Bourguet piece, is that a Sun source told Gerald these reports of trading KD for Jimmy Butler are inaccurate. Okay, now that might be debunked by a lot of people who talk to the Warriors and people who talk to other people, but it's also could be symbolic of a team desperately trying to put a genie back in a bottle.
Sure.
Desperately trying to close Pandora's box.
But why are they trying to do that? Are they trying to do that because they actually see a future where they keep Kevin Durant beyond this season?
No,
because this organization can't afford the potential dysfunction that is in front of them.
Yes,
for the next 32 games.
That's it. That's it.
Why.
That's it. So they can go one of a couple of ways here, and I'm of the belief that at this point in time, Ryan Dunn needs to get 30-plus minutes a game. We need to grow him. Oso's got to get in the rotation. You need to have an eye to next year. Now, maybe as you suggested earlier, maybe you don't go that dramatic right out of the box. Maybe you gauge what the team looks and feels like tonight and then on down the road, and then maybe they can pull something back together. Because as you pointed out, they're 25 and 25. They're not out of anything statistically.
And there's a spot coming up on the NBA calendar that's a nice delineation. It's the All-Star break. They got 3 games at home, and then they got a game on the road at Houston before the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yes, it's a very, very short sample size. You take these next 4 games, and if there's anything resembling signs of life or desire to climb back into this and to play the basketball they're potentially playing,
No, I know what you're trying to say.
my brain is
I'm right there with you.
Playing the basketball they're capable of playing, then you start to make some decisions. If that's not the case over these next 4 games, then I'm on board with the Bickley plan.
The biggest problem also, though, in my opinion, is public confidence in whether or not this front office, as they are currently assembled, can get out of this mess. Because, like I said, it was the thought that going into last year, they thought they had one of the best rosters in the NBA. Team was woefully inadequate. Changed it up at trade deadline, subbed out bench players, added Royce O'Neal. Okay, good. Whew, nothing happened. Then you get into the offseason, and it's all doom and gloom. Yet they get Tyus Jones. They create this new vibe going forward, Mike Budenholzer, and we all bought it hook, line, and sinker. And then here we are at trade deadline, desperately looking for additions to a team that has no size, to a roster that doesn't make sense, to a team that acquired 2 point guards and doesn't use any of them, to a team that gets killed on the glass, to a team that is just easy pickings for young, athletic, hungry units. Mm-hmm. At that point in time, you have to question the architects and say, what are you doing here? What are we trying to build here? Because the idea of just putting Kevin Durant and Devin Booker on the floor with Bradley Beal and a bunch of spare parts, that ain't it. And that's the hard truth here. So maybe it is time for them to get a different set of eyes to get them out of this mess. They can make that decision when the season's over.
Or more to the point, empower the eyes that are already in place.
Okay.
But either way, I get your point.
Mm-hmm.
One last note on the Durant thing from Bob Myers about, all right, this happened. You got to move forward. You got 32 games left. What needs to happen?
They fix it. Okay, so he goes in there with the owner, with James Jones, Josh Bartleston. He says, hey, look, okay, you try to trade me. Let's just have an honest conversation.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to the places I didn't want to go. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. But there's no secret you tried to move me. So I'm here. Let's finish the season. I love basketball. I want to win. And he's always loved basketball. He's always going to love basketball. At the end of the season, let's all sit down so you don't blindside me again. I think I've earned that. I think I deserve that. He's done his part for Phoenix. You can disagree. And let's find, if it's not here, by the way, again, he never said, I want to be traded. But if it's not here, let's figure out a place for me to go. And the last thing I'll say is, I want to see Kevin Durant compete for a championship and be on a good team, just like I want to see Steph Curry, LeBron James. We want to see all the stars on a team where they can compete for a championship. So it's on that kind of team if he has to be moved.
Yeah, and I think, 32 games left. We were asking the question earlier in this week, as Kevin Durant played his last game for the Suns when these rumors popped up. And a lot of people were of the belief that, yes, he's got more basketball with the Suns. But, again, unless there's real palpable improvement, we could be revisiting this leading up to July 1st.
I think so. And I think the odds are in favor that is going to be exactly precisely what happens. But stranger things have happened. You look at the Lakers. Here's the other example. They make the trade. They make trades. They suddenly have a bright future. They look completely rejuvenated. What LeBron did last night was ridiculous. With 42 and 17.
And they got another guy joining the lineup tonight, too.
Right, and they got another guy joining the lineup.
I forget
tonight.
his name.
What?
Kind of looks like James Corden. I can't remember the name.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.